What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dylan Talks Tone. So, this is going to be the next video in our kind of building guitars at Texas Toast series. So, in the last video, you saw the preparation to paint. And then it went into the paint booth and they started painting. While guys were kind of rotating through and painting, we started getting everybody winding pickups. So that's the whole reason I went to Texas Toast this week, was to teach people how to wind pickups. Now, one of the dudes there, the one you're gonna see in the video actually, Tim, he's done this before because he was in another class. But everybody else, nobody else had ever tried to wind a pickup before. So this was their very first time. So we're gonna get really into depth here about how I make pickups, but also kind of the techniques that you would use if you are a first-time winder. This is the pickup winder. You guys saw it working yesterday probably as you're walking in and out. And what we're gonna do, typically what I do is I just throw these things on here for you, because the hardest part of this whole thing, believe it or not, is all this little tedious stuff that I just do so much that I don't even think about anymore. Unless you want to put this little wire through this little hole.
No, you're good.
No, I thought so. Yeah. Okay. And then I just kind of stick it like that, and it keeps that wire out of the way. And then this, or I'll just use that screw. How about that? I changed hardware on my winders, and this winder is not my winder that I normally use, yeah. Because of the failure that we had. All right. Yeah, that's better. Okay.
So you want the bottom facing out?
Yeah, I like the bottom facing out for these. Every pickup's different. Strat pickups and tele pickups, the bottom faces in. But just kind of, it's more about the method that I've come up with to make it scalable. No, I might have already set this. So the way this works, yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Is there a difference in the direction that you wind it?
Yeah. So when you wind a pickup, you can choose counterclockwise or clockwise. But remember that the direction of your wind, and so if we take a completed pickup, take Rick's middle pickup here that I made yesterday, or maybe this is a bridge pickup. So you see how this is a polarity checker. So see how it's black, and if I flip it over, it's white on this side. See how that little thing flips over?
Oh, that's cool.
So this is, the magnet is south up, north down. So that makes this, for the way I do it, I always do south up on the bridge pickup and counterclockwise. If you change either of those things, you have to change both of them in order for your phase to be correct. So when you're talking about in phase or out of phase, you can have both north counterclockwise, both south counterclockwise, or you can have one north and one south, but reverse the wind direction. And when I say reverse the wind direction, we don't actually reverse the wind direction on the winder, we just hook the wires up backwards. And so that's what phasing is all about. So like on his guitar, where we're putting 3 pickups in it, he's gonna have a south up negative start coil in the bridge position, a north up positive start coil in the middle position, and then a south up negative start in the neck position. And then that's how a strat is done. So that's what we're going to do on Rick's guitar with 3 pickups in it.
So the bridge and the neck are the same.
Correct. And the middle one is opposite.
Got it.
So that when you're in your notch positions and
You get
your 2 and 4, you get noise canceling. Correct. Reverse wound, reverse polarity
For a
is what
single
that's called.
pickup guitar, none of
A
that
single
matters.
pickup, none of it matters. And on a dual pickup guitar, I like to have the bridge pickup be south up, negative start, and then I do the neck pickup north up, positive start.
What do you mean positive, negative start?
Positive, negative start, meaning the hole that we put this wire in first is the start of the coil.
Okay.
When we're done, and then we put this last wrap in this other hole, that's the finish.
Okay.
So if you ever look at like a Seymour Duncan diagram, I will never tell you like this wire, this wire, this wire. I will always say, like on a humbucker, I'll always say south start. Like on the screw side, I'll say north start, north finish, south start, south finish, like that. Meaning the polarity of the magnet, north or south. So on my humbuckers, for example, my humbuckers are north polarity on the slug side, and you'll have a start and a finish of that coil. And then you'll have a south polarity screw side with a start and a finish on that coil. So every coil that you wind has a start and a finish. And the start literally is the first wire you put in there, what we just started when we put it on the bobbin. That's the start. And that comes out from underneath when you're done. So like when you look at this tele pickup that I wound yesterday, that's the start comes out underneath.
So you can tell the difference.
Yep, and the finish is the one that wraps around the outside and you actually finish with.
Now
Yep.
what?
So can you tell your wrap direction as well? I mean, you
Yeah, I can
north,
tell
south.
one's at, yeah. Oh, you can't tell magnet direction that way.
No, you have to use that.
You have to use that.
checker, but I meant the winding.
Yeah, and I'll
you
tell you
get
another
one
way you
gas
He
can.
winds all his stuff the same direction.
I wind all my stuff the same direction. I wind
Yeah,
everything
think about
counterclockwise.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because I've heard you say that using, and if you don't want to go this
No, go
far,
ahead.
you can tell me, that using the negative lead on a single coil type pickup makes it quieter overall. Instead of playing with your positive, negative, start.
I'm glad you remember that.
Because you just flip the way it sits on there, so you're still winding it the same direction,
No.
but it's revert.
We just flip the wires. So actually,
No, I realize.
So the
I realize
start.
that's what you do, but if you wanted to still use your negative and not, because I would imagine it's hard to wind the other direction.
No, it's not. But you can do it. Yeah, but
Oh, you
yes,
can?
yeah, I can pick the direction. I see what you're saying, but yes, you could do this any way you want as long as the combination is correct, so that you have your phasing correct. Yeah, you can do it any way you want, and there's going to be there's going to be some. When they watch this on the video, on the YouTubes, there's going to be some doorknob in the comments who's like, you only do it this way because blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, well, I've made 10,000 of them this way and they sound awesome, so I don't really care. That's kind of really what it
Yeah, I
comes
don't
down
think
to.
the wire can actually tell what direction.
right.
Well, there are some situations where it can. On a bass, like on a jazz bass, if you start with the outside wind as your negative, it will be less quiet.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, or it can be depending on the other factors. That's the thing. All this stuff is a sliding scale, so like it's really hard to make those determinations until you do it. So that's why I design. That's why I designed something. I establish it. I test it, and then that's it.
Number of windings.
Yep, all that stuff.
Magnet.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if your coil breaks mid-wind, is that a start over?
If I'm selling it to you, I'm starting over. You guys, we're gonna fix them.
Okay.
Unless it happens like 30 times, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna.
But like you, if
I can repair it.
Okay. Do you like melt it together?
I solder it. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll solder. This wire is super thin, but we can solder it.
And is there a difference? Like that looks as perfectly wound as I could imagine. But if you like sloppy wind it
Yeah.
loose, does that make a?
So the reason our pickups, you were asking yesterday, why are your pickups any different than anybody else's? So you can take two guys, and I mean, we will do this. There's going to be a bunch of you, and you're all going to have the same materials, and you're going to wind the same amount of winds, and you're going to put them in guitars that are fairly similar scale length and everything, right? And they're going to sound different. And that's because the amount of tension, the amount of layers per winds per layer that end up on these things, how baggy the coil is, because that all affects the efficiency of the coil, the inductance, right? So the inductance is affected by how efficient the coil is. How neat it is affects that. The thickness of the wire affects that. The thickness of the insulation on the wire affects that. So all of that matters. All of that to say, by the end of the day, we're going to have y'all with something that actually works. I mean, I've had people be like, oh, I want to shape my tone. No, you want to make a thing that works. Like, this is your first pickup.
Shape your tone and
Yeah.
after you're 100 in.
Shape your
So
tone.
one of the neatest things, we did 2 $9,000 Strat classes last year.
Yes.
And we wound 12 guitars worth of
Strat
coils,
pickups.
of
Yep.
Strat pickups, all the same wines.
Yep.
And it was interesting. And then we ohmed them all out and wrote them all down. And everybody's pickups, you know, like they're supposed to come in right around, let's just say 6K.
Yep.
You know, and there were some that all 3 of their pickups were 5.5.
Yep.
And there were some that all of them were 5.6, or they were all
Mhm.
5.7 or something like that.
Between who
Yeah,
wound them.
for that guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they were all different.
Interesting.
You know, within a certain spec.
Range.
Yep.
Yeah. So just you know, the tension that each guy brought to that pickup was slightly different.
Yep.
And that was really interesting to see.
That
Yeah.
is
So 36,
interesting.
however many pickups it was.
Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting to see.
So the
And they
mechanics
all
of
sounded like Strat pickups.
and they all sounded like Strat pickups. Yeah. The mechanics of this are that this wire breaks like it's like not as strong as hair. Okay. So there's a couple of super simple mechanical things you can do to make this pretty easy. What I do, this is why I have a board sticking out here. Don't kick this. The wire is going to come off the spool. It's going to go over this. You're going to hold it. It's going to go over this, and it's going to go onto the spool. Down here, it's going to balloon out as it comes off. You know, because it's going to like, as it comes off, it's
Like
going to be
that.
like a it's going to be like in a sort of an
Centrifugal
hourglass
force.
shape, sort of. So you don't want to get your feet in it. You don't want to get, you know, like tight roll your pants or something. Oh, Rick's not a tight roller. Okay. So you don't want to tight roll your, you know, make sure you don't get your bell bottoms caught in it or anything. And then that's why we have tape on the table here, so there's no splinters that catch it. Like it's
Fragile.
Yep. So what we're doing is we're guiding the wire onto the spool. We are not. We don't want to really impart tension. When we talk about controlling tension, like what Chris was just talking about, we're literally talking about grams, right? We're talking about grams. It's not, I don't even remember what it is. It's like 30 or something.
It's not grab it with both
Yeah.
hands.
It's very, all we're doing is we're keeping the wire from slacking and going all over the place, but we're not pulling on it, okay? We're really just guiding it. So what I do is I use the crook of this finger and I use this thumb, okay? And I literally, this thumb controls the tension, but I don't mean it to be pressing on the wire. I mean it to be like positioning it, holding it there.
Just holding it in that notch.
Holding it in that space, right? And then I use these fingers underneath, because remember that wire is going back and forth like this underneath. What you don't want to have happen is a wire go underneath your hand like this, right? So I hold my hand like this and I go like this and I use the table. I use the table to locate. You know what? I was thinking this yesterday. This should be a little further back.
And the wire doesn't like cut through your finger.
If it does, you're gripping way too tight.
Don't be in the shop, guys.
I mean, I've had people be like, "This is getting hot." I'm like,
Loosen up a little.
loosen up,
Relax.
relax a little. All right, so that's good. I just do that so it doesn't slide around. So here's what I do. I plant my hand on the table, okay? And then I plant my hand on the table, and then if this is a plane, if this thing right here the table is a plane, I want to be 45 degrees with the wire here, okay? If I come up too much, I'm going to hop out. If I come too far down, I'm going to over tension it, right? So about 45 degrees. And I like to be about an inch away, something like that. That's why I moved it back. I realized it was a little too close yesterday. So I like to be about an inch back. Now here's what happens as you're sitting here. We have a tendency as humans, for some reason, to want to go backwards more and more. And you'll go 500 winds in and you'll be way back here. as you can imagine, you lose a lot of control that way, and you'll break the wire a lot more easily. So I like to make sure that I'm about 1.5 inches or about 1 inch away, and I locate it like that, okay? And see how it's going through the crook of that finger, and I have my hands behind here, and it's gonna catch the wire as it comes back and forth like this. And you're just gonna sweep it back and forth and try to get that coil as flat as possible. When we start, I like to have people just crack this thing open and literally just let the wire, at this point, the wire could just like literally lay on your hand. So I don't want you to go fast. I want you to go really, really slow, and I want you to feel what that wire feels like, okay? Before you start, get super relaxed in the chair. You're gonna be in the chair about 20 minutes for each pickup. It takes me about 8 minutes to wind one of these. If it takes you 20 or 30, I don't care, but you get it done right the first time, then that's amazing. Like we want a success. We don't care about speed, because this is how fast I go. So what I want you to do is barely crack this thing open, and I want you to get the idea of what this thing feels like going through your fingers. Okay, try to keep it as even and flat across as possible. If you feel all of a sudden like, oh, it starts to feel weird, or I need to move, or my butt itches, or anything, stop and then make your finger adjustments. If you feel like you're coming back too far, I'll be watching you and I'm going to tell you, okay, you're coming way back too far. Stop, make the adjustment again, back to where you're supposed to be, then start again. Do not make moving adjustments. I mean, I have done this so much, I can do all kind of stuff, but you just stop and make the adjustment, and it will really minimize the amount of breakages, because we will fix breakages. It's not that big a deal for the purposes of what we're doing.
So is there like drastic differences with the thickness of the wire with pickups, or is there like just one thickness that everybody uses?
There's 42 gauge, 43 gauge, and 44 gauge are the most common. 42 gauge being the thickest, obviously. That's the lowest number. This is the thickest. And so, yeah, I use 43 a lot. Telecaster neck pickups are 43. So we do a lot of 43.
What changes?
The thickness, it's thinner, and then it changes the entire behavior of the coil. Yeah, definitely. So, Tim.
So if you feel like you kind of fudged on one side, is it a bad idea to
Oh.
backtrack or
So-
make it up on the next pass? Or?
So these pickups are really easy because they're super narrow.
I guess they
When you get in a wider pickup like this, you really have to watch how even it is. But these are super narrow, so it's not super hard. It's not a big deal to worry about. But here's what I will tell you. You can go, what we're going to do is we're going to go at first with everybody when they're very first getting started. First of all, we're going to establish that you can feel that tension and that you're not going to break the wire every 2 seconds. And you might, for the first, you might break it a couple times and go, okay, now I have it, right? Like that happens. But once that happens, then you're kind of just cruising along a little bit. We're going to have you go about 500 winds, and then we're going to have you stop. And we're going to look at the tension and see if it's too baggy, if I can, because I'll be able to tell if you're holding it too tight, like that kind of stuff. And we'll just kind of work our way through maybe 500 winds at a time for the first couple thousand, and then we'll let you go 1,000 at a time, and we'll check it. That way we're not letting you go too far in case there's a problem, and we can have time to correct it by the end of the pickup.
What's the wind count for the
These are going to
endurance
be 9,500. I usually, on the stuff that I make, we do 10,000, but because first time or second time winders are typically a little baggier, and these pickups are really sensitive to how much 10,000 barely fits in here. So 9,500 for you guys is going to fill it up. So go for it, dude.
All right.
You want an audience, Tim?
He doesn't have much of a choice, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Plus, you're being filmed, fucker.
Just crack it just a little bit. There you go. Yeah, you have done this before.
That doesn't mean anything.
And I like to have people go, I think the winder's going about 5. Now, he cranked it straight up to that speed. I would recommend that you don't do that.
Yeah, don't do what I do.
Go a little slower. for a little while, like 30 seconds or a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, to just kind of get some feel for it.
And so he's moving his hand back and forth.
Correct.
And that's
That's how, yep, that is how we try to keep that as even as possible within that bobbin.
so hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop and look.
Oh, no, go a little bit. On my bench, I have a clamp-on light that comes up over the top that I can move around depending on, you know, and of course I have an adjustable chair for the height and all that so that I can, like, get it in the right spot so I can see the light angles and stuff.
Surprised you don't have, like, one of those Silicon Valley hammock workspaces that you can lean back.
I have a pretty nice desk chair because you're sitting there doing it for a while, yeah.
You said these are Alnico fives.
Yep.
I hope you take your glucosamine.
Dude, I hurt every day. I have a spinal injury, so
Yeah, he has pretty wild stories, man.
yeah. So we started with Tim. Spoiler alert, he did not break the wire at all. Very first time, well, actually it was his second class, so he'd done it before. But then, double spoiler alert, we went through our entire class and nobody broke a wire. Everybody wound the very first pickup they've ever tried. They did it. It was really cool. It was the funnest thing. It was super fun. We really enjoyed it. And their stuff sounded good. It all worked. Everything, it went great. And when you saw the reveal, I'll link the reveal in the video to the comments to some of these videos. Wow, super cool. Everybody was a success. And I'm stoked because we have never had somebody who didn't go home with something that worked. Every person, I want to say we've done over 30 people now, and we've taught people how to wind pickups, and every one of them have gone home with a pickup that worked. So it's super cool. Have we had some difficulties? Yeah, but it's a great thing. It's a great thing. So if we do this again, I think Matt and I are talking about a way to do it again so that we can teach more people. I strongly recommend, if you even a little bit interested in this, definitely come and check it out. It was really, really fun. So hopefully it gives you a little bit of an idea how they're made, the method behind it. If you have a winder or if you're goofing around with a winder, I'll leave a link to the winder that we used. I know it's a little spendy, but man, it's totally worth it. Great experience, gives you a great experience and gives you a great product. And if it's a hobby that you want to get into, that's the way to do it. My recommendation would be get a good winder. If you make something out of a sewing machine or a fishing reel or something, it will not be a pleasant experience like this is, and you probably will get scared off or annoyed by it and won't want to do it. So I know it's a little bit of a leap, but man, I encourage everybody to try this at least once. And anyway, it was really, really fun. Thanks to those guys for being a part of it. And tomorrow we will see fretwork being done on their guitars. So at the same time, we finished up winding, and then the next step was everybody started on fretwork. So we will see you tomorrow with another video from Texas Toast. Thanks for hanging out. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe and the like button. This is a fun series to do. We'll see you tomorrow.